This is Let Us Interrupt You, episode C6 here on Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022. Not really much to talk about here in the news today right now. Just unfortunately have to start with some sad news today. This is according to iHeart.com, 101 The Beat. This is the article written by Zach Boog, talking about Bill Russell today, who unfortunately passed away on Sunday at the age of 88. Did not get the cause of death, how he passed away. I'm just assuming he went out peacefully. The 11-time NBA champion, 5-time MVP, 12-time All-Star, and was a pioneer on and off the court. Just very sad that he had passed away at, I would say at a mature age. Because, I mean, everyone could say 88 is young. I mean, there's debate there whether 88 is young or old. I mean, I say it's in the middle. It's immature. It's a matured age is what I would say about Bill Russell's passing is right now. And it's sad to hear about this. This is a Celtics legend. My dad grew up watching him playing basketball, went to all the games, see it, getting up close with him off the basketball court. I mean, as a young kid, I mean, he was a tall giant. He was a walking giant, Bill Russell. And you could argue right now for Bill Russell's career, he was the one that made that Celtic dynasty grow. He made that city win multiple championships. If it wasn't for anybody like him, you could argue right now that dynasty would have been in question. Would Larry Bird would have won 3 championships if it wasn't for Bill Russell starting out as a coach really there? I think he was a coach while Bird was playing at the time, I believe. But Russell was around for a long time playing basketball. And, I mean, if you're a 12-time All-Star, 5-time MVP, and you got 11 NBA championships, that's not easy to do. And, it was part of that Celtic dynasty where they won a championship every year. If it wasn't for guys like Bill Russell, like I just said, I mean, the dynasty would have never became a thing. I don't think Boston would even have as many championships right now. There wouldn't be a drive for banner 18. There'd probably be a drive for banner 10 if they were lucky. I mean, this guy was beloved. This was the most thought of basketball player with older generation and younger generation. My generation, it's debatable because millennials, sometimes you never know. But even the younger generations, like some old souls, like they watch old basketball films. I see it on NBA Hardwood Classics of Bill Russell playing basketball along the lines of Jordan, McHale, Bird. I mean, you see all of them, This is what the article had said in moderation, for the Celtics legend. In a series of tweets, former President Barack Obama said, "Today we lost a giant as tall as Bill Russell stood. His legacy rises far higher, both as a player and as a person. On the court, he was the greatest champion in basketball history. Off it, he was a civil rights trailblazer, marching with Dr. King and staying with Muhammad Ali. For decades, Bill endured insults and vandalism, but never let it stop him from speaking up for what's right. I learned so much from the way he played, the way he coached, in the way he lived his life," close quote. That's from Barack Obama, who wrote the article. Again, very sad to hear that Bill Russell had passed away. And he'll be remembered for a long time. This guy was a pioneer. I would say he's a pioneer when it came to the game of basketball. He's a pioneer for civil rights movement, making change happen. I think making basketball more of a reality, for more African-American players that I could think of, honestly, that a lot of people that play basketball today. If it wasn't for anybody like Bill Russell, who knows? Maybe it'd just be a white league. Everything would probably still be segregated. This was a guy that made a difference. This is a guy that made a difference for all civil rights movements. And this is a sports athlete that did it the right way. Not the way that LeBron James does it with his, politicking, crying, whining, bitching, moaning. No, Bill Russell didn't have to do any of that. Bill Russell put the fear in you. He put the fear of God in your soul. And his height didn't help matters for other people right now who try and intimidate him. It didn't help. Bill Russell will be remembered as a true big man in the NBA. He's around for a long time. It's very sad that he passed away. Very sad he passed away. As far as, legends go, I mean, this guy was a stud on the basketball court. If he was in the NBA today, he would have gotten ejected so many times just for poking a player. Back then, you could actually drill somebody, pick somebody, just like, actually like, get a quick dig at him, actually throw in some punches if you had to, bump him. Like, it was almost like street ball, really. Only there was fouls called when it got out of control, but basketball today is totally different than when Bill Russell played. And you could argue right now, Bill Russell right now as a Celtics coach, probably over the last 30 or 35 years that I could think of, was probably the best coach out of all of them. Because up to this point, the closest that I could think of for any coach right now that would coach the Celtics team today is that came close to matching what Bill Russell had in coaching was probably Doc Rivers. And right now, maybe Ime Udoka. Because Pitino, you could argue right now, never liked coaching for Boston. He actually hated the idea of it. In fact, he probably would have been better off coaching for the Lakers or coaching for the Clippers. You could argue right now, Rick Pitino right now could be going back to coaching for the LA Clippers in 2022. He could do it. But if Bill Russell were to be coaching today in the NBA, he'd be the oldest coach right now in NBA history to win a championship. And you know who he would do it for? The Celtics, of course. This guy would put the fear of God in you. And he's a gentle giant. Like, it's not like that this guy is a mean, intimidating human being. But I just think that the fear of God would have gotten, through to people. Would have made Tatum and Brown better players? Oh, yeah, for sure. No question about it. Ime Udoka is almost sort of like that when it comes to coaching. I've noticed that lately. Like, he puts the fear of God in you when he coaches. That's the thing with Udoka. I feel like he has the same exact mentality as Bill Russell had. And I thought about throughout the entire NBA season of like, man, what does he remind me of when it comes to coaching? Bill Russell, of course. And Russell, who won 11 championships previously, he won two more. He won, I think he did 9 as a player and 2 as a coach. So he could play, and he was the only really realistically player coach that was actually successful as far as NBA championship wins was concerned. That's how I looked at it. I look at Bill Russell as that guy who really made a difference in the NBA for players / coaches who were successful in wanting to create a dynasty. This guy was hard to compete against. It was very tough to compete against. And, bona fide, as far as, stats go for Bill Russell's career, and, there's a lot there. There really is a lot there when it comes to all that in consideration for his career. I mean, there is no doubt he is one of the greatest of all time. I mean, right now, I can give you all the stats right now on Bill Russell, just based on his career alone as a player. I mean, this guy, you want the proof. Here it is in the proof here. Career, he started out in 1956. He played 12 years in the NBA. This is what he averaged. This is how many rebounds he averaged. Ready for the numbers right now? Here are the rebounds in his first season that he averaged. He averaged 19.6 rebounds, 22.7 rebounds in 57, 23 and 58, 24 and 59, 23.9 and 60. When I spoke with 24. 23.6 and 61, 23.6 and 62, 24.7 and 63, 24.1 and 64, 22.8 and 65, 21 and 66, 18.6 and 67, and 19.3 and 68. That's just in rebounds. And the assist total on average, you can go by averages here, was 4.5 assists in his career on average. This guy was a difference maker, a man that was very hard to box out. And you could argue right now, he is right now I would say right now, if he was in the NBA, that he'd be the ultimate badass. That's what Bill Russell would be. He'd be the ultimate badass. He'd be the one guy. I mean, really, if you argue right now, if he was a black president of the United States, he'd be the tallest president in the history of the United States of America who ran this country. He'd probably get things done because he's just got a sense of mind. He's been around for a long time. Very wise man he is. Let's talk about how many points he averaged. He averaged most of his points in his career between 16 to 18 points on average in his career. His field goal percentage on average was about 43, 45%. His career free throw percentage was 56.6 or 56.1, sorry. But yeah, he is the GOAT. As far as the GOATs in this Boston sports in general, Bill Russell's number one in my opinion. People are going to say, what about Tom Brady going to 9 Super Bowls? I put him at number 2 as the time he was as a part of a Boston sports member. I don't think his membership has been revoked at this point. I don't think the championships have gone away in that regard. But as far as the faces of Boston sports go right now, Bill Russell's got the face of Boston for now. Because until the Celtics win a championship, again, with these young talent players, it's going to be difficult. To say that because now Jason Tatum might as well have just taken himself off as the face of the NBA, off as the face right now as the city of Boston sports, and Bill Russell might as well put himself back out there at a time where now at this point you have to wonder now, is the Boston Celtics going to be key favorites right now to win the NBA Finals? Are they going to do this like Big Papi did? Won the World Series for the Red Sox in 2013 after the Boston bombing marathon. That's the question that's on my mind. Is that going to happen? We'll wait and see. We will wait and see. I can tell you right now, I have a lot of doubt in my mind about that possibility because I just think this Boston sports team finds a way to choke instantly. It's actually terrible of how much they choke. But it's true. They do really choke. But very sad thing to happen again. Condolences goes out to the family, friends, and colleagues for Bill Russell. He will live in our hearts forever in the city of Boston. Really in southern New England, but mostly in the city of Boston. Deshaun Watson got suspended for 6 games for violating the sexual misconduct policy, is what they were calling it. This was according to ESPN.com, Adam Schefter, who put it out to Twitter the other day. I'm just going to put this in perspective, okay? Calvin Ridley, wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, gets suspended for the entire season for gambling last year, right? For gambling. Simply gambling, right? This guy, who assaulted 30 women at this point, settled more cases at this point. There's only one case left to settle. There's only one case left at this point. And I can tell you right now, the only reason why that case has not been settled yet at this point out of court here is this suspension. Because if this was settled out of court, Watson would play all 17 games in 2022. And I'm not saying that Deshaun Watson deserves that. I'm just saying Deshaun Watson deserves a hell of a lot more of a suspension, more games taken away after all this. The ridiculousness behind this whole case for a man who was guilty. My friend Mike, who was not here today, if you notice, it's just me. He said the exact thing last night on his Facebook. By the way, he is not here today. I meant to mention that earlier. So he says hi to everybody right now. He'll try to be here on Saturday. He promises. But anyway, he mentioned the same thing for a guy, Ridley, who deserves a lot better from the NFL for gambling. He's suspended for the entire year, but Deshaun Watson gets a 6-game suspension. Why? Because they threatened a lawsuit. They threaten to sue the league if he gets more than 6 games. You're the NFL. You have you do breast cancer awareness month for women. You do that charity. You do the charity for the LGBTQ. You do a lot of charities for and it's not woke shit. Okay, that I'm mentioning here. Women's rights and all that stuff. Like you do a lot of things. And for sake of women to follow football. This suspension right here that Deshaun Watson got is a slap on the wrist. It may as well be. And it may as well be a big giant F you, don't watch our league. This is like every NFL owner telling women out there, women, football and women, just don't match up. That's their message behind this whole thing, after this whole case. Women in football don't mesh up, don't watch. We don't want you to watch. We want your money. We want you to do the charity for us, but we don't want you to watch the actual game. Don't waste our time. That's the mindset right now for all 31 and 32 NFL owners out there, including your boneheaded commissioner, who really is a moron for letting this to happen, for allowing this to happen. And the NFLPA is just as responsible as just as much as they are. The fact that Sue Robinson made her decision based on this, and I'm telling you right now, she is more of a man than people think. Okay, I'm sorry. I know she's a judge and all that. I should have respect for these kind of people, but I think she went against all women here and really allowed this suspension to happen. I know they're all settled these cases and stuff like this, but they were still cases in the NFL. They were still cases. It made the NFL look really bad here, and now the aftermath at this point, which I'm not surprised, the NFL looks freaking bad for. The NFL today should be ashamed that they allowed this suspension to go on for that amount of numbers. I don't know why Deshaun Watson at this point would even want to play. Why? Because he watched Big Ben Roethlisberger and he got away with it. So that's why he's going to turn his whole career around. That's why he's going to win two Super Bowls and go to a third one possibly, because he celted all these wins, so it gives him that drive to win a Super Bowl. You know, that'd be the biggest letdown this year in the NFL. Is that somehow Cleveland is good enough, even without Deshaun Watson, somewhat good enough without him, right? And then he gets back, and the team went. And imagine the team wins the Super Bowl after all that. I think Cleveland should rethink, possibly, on rooting for themselves this year to win a Super Bowl championship. If I'm done this year, I'm saying, you know what? I ain't gonna go watch my team to watch the Super Bowl. Screw that. I feel like now here's what's gonna end up happening. I have this funny feeling that Cleveland will somehow go to the Super Bowl this year, and I would say maybe about 32% of their fan base will show up. And I'm saying 32. And I gotta be honest right now at this point. It might even be lower. It might even be 22. The lowest amount percentage for any Super Bowl fan base to show up to a Super Bowl game, maybe in history. Think about it. It's a definite possibility. Okay, it really is. It looks like it's more like a possibility now and more likely than not. And the reason it looks bad for the NFL because you got a guy who gambled on games this year, which I don't know what's wrong with that anyway. To me, it's like unless it's games against yourself, which the NFL still hasn't ruled at this point, by the way, of what his gambling habits were or what he gambled on throughout the entire year. So you mean to tell me that this guy couldn't gamble on another game that doesn't involve him at all? That's what gets him punished in the NFL. I still yet to have that figured out. It didn't affect his game. It's not like he sucked all year. You want to know what sucked about that Falcon team all year? Matt Ryan quitting on his coach. The offensive line quitting on Matt Ryan. The entire Falcon team quitting on their team except for Calvin Ridley. But Calvin Ridley was gambling. So he didn't really care. He did. The fact that he tried to appeal this, I think, and he got denied, I think it's just sad. But if you saw 66 massage therapists, though, and you want a second opinion, well, and you already even admitted to doing half of it in court. That's the thing, too. When Ben Roethlisberger did it, it was like the NDA. It was like NDA situation. Like Vince McMahon did when he had those women insulted. They kept their mouth shut and they moved on. They had a sign out. They agreed to not make it air public here to make the company look bad. Ben Roethlisberger did the exact same thing in making sure the NFL didn't look bad. But they still got punished for it, though. Deshaun Watson hurt the NFL by doing this. There was no hushed tone. There was no lying to the court. It was just lying to himself. It looked like he had a heart by admitting about what he did to half of these freaking women. Think about it. He says he's still innocent, though. Even though he admitted to, assaulting most of the women most of his women, if not all of them here. And the funny thing of it is, if you think about it right now, I bet most of these women right now were assaulted. I wouldn't be surprised because numbers just don't add up like that. Okay, they don't call each other up. They don't Snapchat and create like a group chat called the Deshaun Watson sexual assault group for all the women out there who were assaulted by them. Maybe they were. Maybe that was a possibility. I mean, I sincerely doubt it, though. But the fact that this guy is getting a slap on the wrist and Calvin Ridley's going to sit out for the entire 2022 year, probably with a lousy-ass paycheck for not playing football. But Deshaun Watson gets his money in the end of the day. It's completely corrupt, and it makes the NFL look bad. And like I said before, the NFL is just not for women, I guess. Don't watch. Donate our money if you're a breast cancer awareness survivor, or you're an LGBTQ woke person. If you're woke or you're this, it's fine. But if you're one of those and you think this is disgusting, don't watch. That's your message to the NFL. Honestly, I had to watch the NFL for the sake of content for my podcast. That's the only reason why I need this for the show. To do these live reports. As stupid as that sounds right now at this point, just hearing that today just makes me sick to my stomach. It really does, especially now when it's like women out there aren't safe. So that would probably be a new thing now if you're a woke person now. If you're an NFL fan and you're a pig, you assault women. That'll be a new thing now. Watch. That will be a new thing now going forward. Anyway. So moving on from that to the other person who got suspended today in the NFL today, Dolphins owner Stephen Ross. That was according to CBS Sports. Before I even get into this article, though, I will say this one thing. I knew this was coming. This was not surprising. What surprised me was how late the suspension came. Because this guy should have been suspended 2 months ago for an entire season. And the fact that they lost draft picks out of this whole ordeal. It's pretty sad. You know what's sad when it gets to that point where you lose out on draft picks? You're losing out on draft picks. You should not be losing out on. That's the thing that really gets me going. Is that bizarro thing to happen at this point for this owner to be this dumb enough to think to himself, I'm not going to get caught for this. It's really about time this guy got suspended, period, because for all the things he's done over the years, and maybe this is what the tip of the iceberg really was just this tampering right here. Maybe Robert Kraft was the one that told Goodell, hey, suspend this guy for an entire season. He's trying to take my quarterback. I don't want to play against my quarterback twice this season. Think about it. Because he knows his team doesn't have a shot. If they have Tom Brady playing on there, with Sean Payton as their head coach, got suspended for tampering. This guy has said racist remarks against Dez Bryant, said some pickish remarks to Dez Bryant's mother, sister. He said derogatory things about, Brian Flores. He's done things to he's done a lot of things to the other head coaches, forced Nick Saban out of town, forced him to Alabama, of all places. This is a guy who got suspended and fired their head coach randomly to get Sean. And I don't even know if this is what even Tom Brady even wanted. Think about it. Did Tom Brady really want to play with Sean Payton, or do he really want to play with Brian Flores? Does he even care who's his coach now? I don't think he really cares. I think he wants control. I don't think he really wants Sean Payton to go along for the ride and tell him what to do, especially if it's a guy who only won one Super Bowl in his career. Does he really care? I don't think he does, guys. I don't think people really understand the situation about this whole thing. It's just Stephen Ross putting together a perfect image in his mind to stick it to Robert Kraft because really he wanted to lock out and make more money than the players and the coaches. That's the truth. He wanted to make more money than the Panthers owner at the time. Was it Jerry Richardson, I think his name was at the time? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's just more and more stupid, dumb politicking by this guy. And now he got his comeuppance. He got exactly what he deserved, this suspension. And you want to know something? It was all thanks to Robert Kraft. I wouldn't even be surprised if Robert Kraft had his fingerprints all over this. Because he knows if Tom Brady would have come and played for the Miami Dolphins in 2022 or 23, Patriot fans, we're all screwed. Just accept that factor into it. We are all screwed. But the fact that this man got suspended for this is unbelievable. So here it is. This is a report by Cody Benjamin. 6 months after former Dolphins coach Brian Flores accused team owner of Stephen Ross of essentially bribing him to lose games for a better draft position, the NFL has temporarily stripped Miami of both Ross and premium draft picks, as NFL media reports. Commissioner Roger Goodell informed the franchise Tuesday that a league investigation found Ross at least hinted at prioritizing draft picks over a winning record in 2019, and that he impressively had repeated communication with both Tom Brady and Sean Payton while trying to recruit the big names to his team. As a result, Ross has been fined $1.5 million, which is chump change for him, and suspended him through October. Oh, it's October 17th. Oh, so he's not even suspended the entire year. So that's news to me. I didn't even know. I thought he was suspended for the entire season. While the Dolphins must forfeit their 2023 first-round pick and 2024 third-round pick for violating the integrity of the game, here's my question. Why is it just the first round in 2023 and 24? If you ask me, that's not enough of a punishment. Not suspended for the entire year. And then this is another thing. I think tampering is worse than gambling. Can I just add for a minute? Of all the random punishments, this is worse. This is worse. Very dumb, if you ask me. Very dumb, if you ask me. Dumb suspension. Why is it a third-round pick in 2024? What is so special about a third-round pick? You're better off to get rid of the first 3 rounds in 2024 and 2023 for the Dolphins. They deserve that. And Ross, in my opinion, should be suspended a hell of a lot longer than October 17th. That's all I'm saying. That's a stupid suspension, in my opinion. Dumb. Anyway, the NFL investigate. If you ask me, I don't know why they wouldn't be, that right there would have been suspending somebody the entire season. That's grounds for punishment. No appeal there for that owner. The NFL investigation found that the Dolphins did not intentionally lose games in 2019 when the team finished 5-11 and did not support Flores' notable claim that Ross offered him $100,000 for every loss that season. There are different recollections about the wording, timing, and context of the remark. However, phrased, such a comment was not intended or taken to be a serious offer, nor was the subject pursued in any respect by Mr. Ross or anyone else at the club. It did, however, confirm that Ross repeatedly suggested to Flores team president Tom Garfinkel and general manager Chris Greer that 2020 draft position should trump a better 2019 win total. Ross comments, Goodell wrote, even if made in jest, carry with them an unnecessary potential risk. More than the tanking allegations, the NFL in its Tuesday ruling harped on the Dolphins' contact with Brady and Payton, citing a tampering violations of unprecedented scope and severity. The investigation led by former U.S. Attorney Mary Jo White found that Ross and the Dolphins had permissible communications with Brady on 2 different occasions, first in 2019, as early as August of that season, while the quarterback played for the rival Patriots. You know, the more I think about this, I actually remember hearing about this back in 2019 because they got in contact on his birthday, I believe. I think it was actually his birthday. So it was because his birthday was August 3rd. I did hear, I brushed it up and thinking to myself, like, they're not going to trade a quarterback to their division rival. So I waved it off. My first thought was, why was trading up to get Tom Brady in 2020 going to make a difference? And besides the fact, anyway, Brady was playing for a contract anyway, so they could have taken Tom Brady at that point anyway, if they wanted to through via agency. The problem was you're not going to release the greatest quarterback of all time. That's just stupid. While the quarterback played for the rival Patriots, and again during and after the 2021 season before Brady retired, and later returned to the Buccaneers. Those discussions focus on Brady becoming a limited partner in the Dolphins and possibly serving as a football executive. So they weren't even looking for him as a player. They were just basically looking. So basically they want him to be an executive and not play football in 2019. So that was just what confirms it to me, because I don't think they wanted him to play anymore. I think they were just sick of losing to him. So this is why make him a GM executive. That was never going to work. So you mean to tell me that Stephen Ross never wanted Tom Brady to play football? Is that what we're looking at now at this point? After this article here, that, oh no, we just want you to be an executive now at this point. Give me a break. They wanted more in 2021, 2022. They wanted more. And you could argue right now that Brady could have played. But what does Sean Payton come in line of this? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. The investigator found, although at the times, they also included the possibility of his playing for the Dolphins. So they believe, investigating, they really wanted him to play. So basically, it was cat and mouse, basically, or bad cop versus good cop here, trying to get the truth out of these people. I look at it like this. If the idea was for Brady to play in 2019 for the Patriots, stay with the team in 2019, he probably told me he's going to retire as a New England Patriot, or I'm going to retire as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer the following year, or I'm going to broadcasting, don't bother. Because here's the thing. At this point, they probably only offered him as much as $250 million. When Fox is going to give you $400 million not to be part of the Miami Dolphins, which is what Fox basically did, they basically saved Tom Brady from all the drama and bull crap and all that stuff. Not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Fox Sports saved Tom Brady. Think about that. Fox saved Tom Brady, not the Patriots, not the Dolphins. Fox did. Not even the Tampa Bay Buccaneers even saved him. So that's my takeaway in this whole thing. I mean, to me, it's one of these scenarios where you look at Tom Brady and you say to yourself, why do I want to be an executive, not play football, like being an executive 1 year and then play football 2 years later? Does that make any sense? So they basically wanted him to not play football, be an executive with Sean Payton as their head coach in 2019. Listen to how this sounds. Have Sean Payton leave New Orleans, go coach for a team, tank it all in 2019 to get Tua, and if Tua don't work out in 2 years, then play Tom Brady with Sean Payton as their head coach still. Why would Sean Payton want to tank on purpose? I'm just curious. I think that whole idea is just dumb. I think this is what – I mean, Stephen Ross has lost his mind, number one. And why would Brady go in his first year as an executive to tank? That's my whole takeaway in this whole thing. Why would Tom Brady want to tank? Not play football, give up the goal plane that was 45, to tank for a quarterback that we don't even know is going to be good enough in the next 5 years with a limited wide receiving crew. With a coach, by the way, that wouldn't tank in a million freaking years, who's got integrity of the game, who actually wants to win a Super Bowl. See, Stephen Ross is like one of those guys that always says, like, oh, if we don't make the playoffs, or we don't win a playoff game, or we lose the Super Bowl, or we don't win a lot of games during the regular season, I make more money for sympathy reasons. That's basically what it is. He wanted more money for himself and for Brady and for Peyton. They're going to go, why? And this is a guy that doesn't really care about winning championship. He just cares about making money. So I don't think he really gave a damn about losing to the Patriots every year with Tom Brady. I think he just gave up on the fact right now that even if he had him playing for us, Bill would just find a way to beat him too. That was his mindset. He still wanted to, even though you're still going to get the greatest quarterback of all time, but you didn't want him to play. See, the investigators are saying that, they wanted him to play. Please. But the problem is you still got another cheap owner in Stephen Ross. And I guarantee you, he would pay him more to be more of an executive type and not pay him more to be a player. That would have been the situation right now. And that's why Fox gave him the nice cushion deal right now when he retires. And I'm telling you, he's going to retire. If Gronk is going to go out and not play this season right now, which a lot of people are not buying into it, I'm not buying into it, then that's that. I mean, but think about this for a minute. There's 2 NFL teams out there right now that didn't save Tom Brady from all this mess. Tampa Bay didn't save him, which I thought Tampa Bay was going to do, but it seemed like Fox gave him the offer. I wouldn't be surprised when Fox gave him the offer before he even unretired with the Buccaneers. Think about it. He's already got a 1 year. He's got to get the 10-year deal. Might even be even longer. They might even give him 20 years to be a broadcaster. And that's a network, a football sports network that saved Tom Brady over the Patriots. Because first of all, Kraft would have just hung up the phone right there and then and not allowed Tom Brady to take that phone call. But Russ spited Kraft and talked to Tom Brady first before Kraft could even get to him. And maybe that's why Kraft didn't even re-sign him. That's another thing to think about. Maybe he got gist of it. Maybe the relationship got a little salty. And that's why he didn't get the re-sign with the Patriots. Think about that for a minute. Really, it all came down to the fact right now, it wasn't even Brady's play. It was the fact that Brady took a phone call with a GM from their division rival to be an executive and being a football player. And that's why he had a crappy year. Despite the fact they didn't have Rob Gronkowski that year. But think about it. Think about all the wheels going in motion in this whole thing. Think about that for a minute. That's going to get a lot of people talking at this point. That's all this is going to do. So we got the MLB Trade Deadline. I want to see if I'm forgetting anything before I This is an MLB Trade Deadline that happened as of today. We'll probably get into that right now. There's been a lot of trades that happened over the last several minutes here. I will get into it right now. Joey Gallo, the struggling Yankee slugger, went from the Texas Rangers to the Yankees to now to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Okay, that's one of the trades. The other one was Juan Soto and Josh Bell going to the San Diego Padres in a deal that basically Eric Hosmer was supposed to go to Washington. Unfortunately, that deal did not go through with him going to Washington. But he is going to be, however, playing for the Boston Red Sox as a first baseman. So there you go. You got your first baseman if you're the Red Sox. Reese McGuire also got traded yesterday from the White Sox to the Red Sox as a catcher. Christian Vasquez, the catcher for the Red Sox, got traded to the Houston Astros as of yesterday. And you know something? It's kind of ironic here. I didn't predict this on the podcast, but somebody actually asked me at this point if Christian Vasquez were to get traded, where he get traded to. I said the Houston Astros. I couldn't see him playing anybody else. And here he is, long and behold, now a Houston Astro player. Crazy when you think about it, right? Crazy. Phillies get closer. Was it David Robinson, I believe that is what it is right now, from the Chicago Cubs for outfielder Brandon Marsh from the Los Angeles Angels. Part of this trade as well. So veteran 37-year-old David Robinson now closing out for the Phillies. That's interesting. I like that trade. I like that trade a lot. Actually makes a lot of sense here when you think about it. Luke Voigt, by the way, now a San Diego Padre. There's also some big news right there. Blue Jays add relievers Bass and Pop from the Marlins. Astros deal with Disley to the Braves for reliever Smith. That's also some more news. So Braves acquired Jake Disley for – that's another thing too. 2 World Series opponents from last year trading out for players. So Braves get rid of Will Smith and Jake Disley, their starter, is going to go to Atlanta. Teams are reporting right now asking for Gleyber Torres right now at this point. Tyler Mahle traded to the let me see. Also, in more news today, Tommy Pham got traded from the Cincinnati Reds to the Boston Red Sox as of yesterday. Twins trade for Tyler Mahle, so the Reds are sending starter to Minnesota. In exchange, this is from the Twins. This is from Reds for 3 prospects in a deadline deal. So Cincinnati sent Mahle to Minnesota, receiving infielder Spencer Steer, third baseman Kristen Incarnate-Strand, and southpaw Stephen Harar. So that was part of that trade. Let's see. Phillies deactivate Odu Cabrera, 2016 All-Star and longtime Philly outfield designated for assignment out of the David Robinson trade. The Giants get J.D. Davis from the Mets. Mets send J.D. Davis, right-handed pitcher Thomas Sabaschke, right-handed pitcher Carson Seymour, and left-handed pitcher Nick Swarzak to San Francisco for Darwin Ruff. This is according to the New York Post. Anyway, that's really all that. I mean, it's definitely more trade deadline news I need to get into here as of right now. Twins acquire Orioles closer Jorge Lopez in the trade as well. So they got not only a starter here, but they got a closer as well. So Twins have been pretty busy today. As far as the Padres trade goes, Padres trade for Brandon Drury. San Diego won't stop, according to this report right now. This just came in right on the break here. This is what the news has been brought out right now. So they traded for Brandon Drury from the Reds. So the Reds are on a mission right now to rebuild. They get rid of most of their great players. The San Diego Padres have signed superstar outfielder Soto, first baseman Josh Bell. This is what the returning package is for the Nationals. It includes prospects left-handed pitcher Mackenzie Gore, outfielder Robert Hassel III, shortstop C.J. Abrams, outfielder James Woods, and right-handed pitcher Jarlin Susana. Washington also gets first baseman designated hitter Luke Voigt. So Luke Voigt's actually going to Washington. So there you go. So Hosmer was going to go to San Diego, but did not want to go to San Diego. He wanted to go to Boston Red Sox instead. Look, the Red Sox got an average catcher and an average first baseman. They'll get better over time. And who knows? Maybe these guys will be around next year for the Red Sox as well. We never know. That is all the trade deadline that we've gotten so far, I believe. And this also just came in for the NFL. This is more of a change of subject here for the NFL. Chris Herndon, former Jets starting tight end, has signed with the Saints, expected to join New Orleans after a year with the Vikings. So that's some news right there. And that's really about it for trade deadlines. There'll probably be more trade deadlines after I get off the air. The trade deadline is expected to end by 6 o'clock today. Usually the trade deadline is usually over by 5 o'clock. So they gave like an extra hour here, so that's kind of surprising. Anyway, this is also just came in right now. Bill Belichick definitely believes that Patriots Gillette Stadium renovations will definitely affect the game. This is actually was posted 3 minutes ago by Tyler Sullivan. The in-stadium experience at Gillette Stadium is going to be completely different in 2023. Next year, the Patriots are set to finish up a $225 million renovation to the stadium that include what the team says is the largest outdoor stadium high-definition video board in the country. Behind the video board will be 75,000 square feet of an enclosed glass space that will connect the upper concourse full of full 360 accessibility. While that certainly is exciting facelift for Gillette Stadium, it will have an impact on the game as a closed open-air section of the stadium where the lighthouse once stood. A new lighthouse is also being installed. But Belichick once even noted that the section of the stadium has a little bit of swirling effect. So Bill Belichick does not agree with a renovation for Gillette Stadium. Gee, what a shocker that is. I will say this, though. As far as distractions go, I've seen a lot of more distracting things in my life. I think a giant swirling thing is not going to hurt anybody. In fact, it may even take away the whole idea of NFL challenges where they got to go in the freaking booth. And yeah, they got to call in New York, but you're going to have a big giant projection 360 screen swirling around the stadium. I mean, that's more of a distraction for the referees more than the players itself. I think the players, as long as Belichick is coaching this team the way he wants to coach it, I don't see a problem with this being a distraction. I really don't. Unless it's Bill Belichick losing money out of this ordeal, which is more about that anyway. Guy is so cheap as it is, and it's surprising for Robert Kraft for him not being cheap. So Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick are going to pay out their stuff, and now they want a renovation. It's like, oh no, this is too much. First you want me to get more talent for this team, and now you want me to chip in for your stadium plans, Robert? That's what Bill's saying now. No, he's saying no to that. That's what he means. Before I get off the air, there's another trade deadline, the trade that just happened. And there's now Phillies acquired Brandon Marsh, and they're sending center fielder to Philly in exchange for a top 100 prospect catcher Logan O'Hoppe. Logan O'Hoppe, I believe his name is, or Logan O'Hoppe. I think that his name is right now. I have no idea. They wanted a top 100 catcher in his exchange. So Brandon Marsh, who was the center fielder for the Angels, is now a center fielder now for Philadelphia Phillies. So that's all the time we really have here for the show here today. Really short show. Before I get off the air, I want to let you know that my Instagram for the third time has been hacked. So the new account will be Joe Olivo Boston Sports going forward. I don't know how this got hacked. I didn't send anybody a message. I didn't, snapshot a projection screen of my thing, which is easy for that's a way to hack your Instagram. So don't do that. Don't ask me what the hell happened. I have no idea. Could not tell you. So now going forward, the question now will be is what happens here with my Instagram and stuff like that? I don't know. At this point, I created a new account, but if this one gets hacked again, I'm done. I am done with Instagram. I think because of my Instagram, my Facebook got hacked. So both accounts got hacked the first time. The second time, it was me being an idiot, snapshotting my thing. The third time, I have no idea what the hell happened. And I know for a fact I set my thing to private mode. That's another thing, too. If you don't set your Instagram to private mode, it's going to get hacked. More likely than not, it's a better chance of that thing to get hacked more than anything else. So if you're not on private, make sure it is. That's my message for you of the day. That's really about it. Really short show today. Not much to talk about here, really. I would get into SummerSlam stuff, but all you need to know here is this for SummerSlam. Vince McMahon no longer runs the show. It's been all Triple H at this point. Triple H has been doing a great job running Raw. Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Shirai are back. They're in a group now. They're heels. Obviously, Bayley's still a heel. Brock never won the Universal Championship. Roman retained. The Usos retained their Unified Tag Team Championships. The Mysterios beat the Judgment Day. Becky Lynch lost to Bianca Belair to retain her Raw Women's Championship. I think this was a SmackDown Women's title defended on the show. Oh, yeah, that's right. Liv Morgan won via pinfall. Yes, she got pinned, and also at the same time tapping down the Ronda Rousey's armbar. Other than that, I can't really think of anything else that happened on the show, really. Oh, yeah, Logan Paul beat The Miz. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. There wasn't really a lot of stuff going on in golf. And we'll talk more about golf, though, when I get a chance to. I promised myself I would do more golf takes on this show. Haven't not done a lot of them yet. Not really been a lot of live golf stories other than Charles Barkley wanted to go there. But Charles Barkley chose to stay with Turner and inside the NBA and then not want to be bothered flying to Saudi Arabia. He probably figured he could do it from home, but he was told he had to fly to Saudi Arabia, which is why the deal's dead. Anyway, other than that, that's it. There's no other news besides that. I got through WWE results. Triple H is in control of WWE Raw, talent relations, and creativity for the writers. Other than that, that's it. I mean, there's not really much else to talk about here. My social media is on the bottom right now. Everything's the same except for the Instagram. Mike, like I said, will try to join the show. If not, that's it. I mean, I don't know what else to say here. It'll probably just be me. It'll probably just be, let me interrupt you. Will probably be the new title of the show because the way this is going right now, who the heck knows? Hit the like button, subscribe. It would do great for this channel. I really do appreciate it. I don't normally cover WWE stuff right now, but I gave you the SummerSlam. So I gave you that coverage. I gave you the MLB Trade Deadline today. I gave you the NFL news you wanted to hear. And possibly two or three great hot takes. And again, condolences again to the family and friends and colleagues for Bill Russell. A player my father looked up to. Saw her in person. He picked him up as a kid. Stuff like that. You hear stories like that. It's like a gut punch to the stomach. When Kobe Bryant died, that was a kick in the stomach. This did it to me. This did it to me too. So that's that. Thanks for watching the podcast. I will be back here on Saturday. There's no podcast Friday. It's back to Tuesday and Saturday now going forward. If there's any breaking news stuff or any random stuff that's happening, as far as, MLB Trade Deadline or massive NFL news or whatever the case may be, I will do a sound of. I will let you all know on social media. Right now, my Instagram is limited at this point, so I can't really do any story on my Instagram account itself. Unfortunately, how sad that sounds. Because my Instagram got hacked again for a third time, that now I'm limited to posting things, liking things, and actually getting my old friends to follow my new account. You know how sad that sounds? I'm limited to have any communication with anybody whatsoever. How sad is that? How sad is that? Anyway, until next time, I am out. Peace.